Anybody can have a situation, and I would want the person to work with me to really care.
We get on a daily basis families coming in, trying to find affordable housing, trying to preserve the affordable housing that they have, and trying to keep a roof over their heads.
Housing in this area is about $1,400 at the cheapest. It's a little uncomfortable, it's small, it's cluttered, and in this building you only get one closet. So you don't get much for $1,400 up here. I work for a restaurant, and $1,400 at my pay rate, I wouldn't be able to buy food, pay electricity, even have a cell phone. I've had Section 8 for about 17 years. The area is so-so. There's crime that goes on here. Actually, my daughter was assaulted here, and it led her into a whole big situation with the school system. They called the DCPP, and that's how they got involved. She had to go to the hospital and get evaluated, and once they were called, everything else was happening at the same time, as far as my housing, her being in the hospital, and it was just a lot. My oldest child didn't want to give his information as far as him working and the amount that he was getting paid. And me as a mother, I had to keep being on him about it. He just kept forgetting. And when he finally did, they said it was too late. I got in contact with the Section 8 office. I spoke to one of the workers, and she told me that I had to email her all the information. I had to gather all the information, and it took a little while, maybe about 2 to 3 hours, and I stated to her that I would send it to her before she left. She leaves at 4:30. I sent her the information at 4:33. So she stated that because I sent it late, that I was getting terminated from Section 8. I was just like, what am I going to do? How am I going to make sure that we have a roof over our head? And how will we survive?
Tanya's case was referred by a local office in the county where she resides. We've been taking direct referrals directly from local agencies, local division agencies in stabilizing families who have division involvement, but also have these other poverty-related issues, largely relating to housing. With this particular case, it took a couple phone calls, maybe a couple emails, and her case got back on track.
Partnership is important. Getting together and saying, there's a better way. We're going to help. There's legal services. One way to prevent homelessness is give a low-income tenant an attorney.
It takes a special worker to see a case and decide that, sure, she has children that are in crisis. She has this issue of, possible eviction. There's some mental health issues going on within the family, but to see that poverty was the thing that was really exacerbating the issue in the family's life and deciding to refer the case to legal services.
She talked to me and my oldest child. She also told me that she had already spoken to my daughter, and she said that she wasn't here to take her. She just wanted to know that she was in a stable home. She really saw that I was going through a lot, and she did everything possible to make sure that the home was stable, that I wouldn't lose my Section 8, that I would get as much help that I needed for my daughter.
There's things like they may need, like this case, it was housing. Sometimes it's a drug treatment program. Sometimes it's parenting skills because you're overwhelmed and you're by yourself with 3 or 4 kids and there's no family supports. Sometimes, whatever it is, we try to see what that underlying need is. Because what that underlying need is, we need to work on that to make you more whole in your parenting abilities.
Once they allowed me to keep my Section 8, it just seemed like everything else fell into place. It could have easily gone a different route if my DCPP caseworker didn't listen to me and see that I was really going through something.
I was on the verge of being evicted from my apartment, which eventually it did happen. And my son and I, we was going around see if we could stay with different people, and no options were good. So I ended up going to the laundromat, in the area. The attendant was telling me that me and my son, we can't, sit there, overnight. And I told him, my situation. So he said, well, I'm gonna call the police office. I'm gonna call the police and explain, he's like, you explain your situation, to the cops, and they will find a shelter, for you. So what they did, they came, I explained my situation, and they called around to see if anybody had any room, and they took us in, and out of protocol, they called, DIFUS, because I was scared. And I said, I'm not an abusive or negligent mother. I was like, oh my God, what if they take my child, from me?
Where she lives, their rent can go up and down depending on your income, okay? So she was able to show me the income and what the rent was at the time. And then she was able to show me how Social Security changed the child's benefit, which was lower, and it affected her rent. When she got a job, the rent went up, so her financial situation was, up and down.
In many of our cases, our clients lose support from welfare services, sometimes lose their TANF benefits, losing Social Security benefits. All of these things work to further destabilize their housing situations and makes it so much more difficult for them to, be successful in child welfare or to have a case closed in, any reasonable time period if the housing issue or the housing crisis you have is going to persist without any sort of resources or supports.
She came to see me every day, and there she is, and that's her son, and she has his food, his snacks. He's set, and then she has her bag with the paperwork. She has the paperwork. I never had to tell her to go get nothing. I see the Social Security letter. I have the apartment complex's logs about the payment history, which shows that she was paying every single month. And I also can show him that this is what the job pays. This is when she wasn't working because of the school being closed. And this is when she went back to work. So once you can show that, my area director was fine.
My son and I were out of the apartment, for like 2 to 3 weeks. It was very stressful, and it was very stressful for him because there's no place like your own. There's nobody else's bed like your own.
We brought the check. They unpadded the lock, and she was able to come in to the apartment, get back to normal with her life and with her child.
I felt very relieved. Even though I had to clean it up or whatever the case is, I didn't care. Long as my son and I were back, in our apartment, sleeping in our own beds, getting our lives back to normal little by little.
I went to see her son in the room playing with his toys. He looked relieved and he looked happy. He's very close to his mother. Very close to his mother. Like they're on the hip. When I saw that her son in the office, and now I see him where he should be. He's here. He's in his home. That's where you're supposed to be. I was happy for that. You have to try to make sure you keep families together.
Sometimes you just have to get the help wherever, you can get it. And it felt good that they were willing to help me.
DCPP caseworker was amazing. Amazing. She helped me out a lot. She's a beautiful person inside and out. And I just love her.